Hi there, it's Mark, and welcome to Book-ramble, and thank you for being here. This is just a general thoughts. I forget which number. I'm not even sure why I number them, but there you go. I think it's probably 5 or 6. And it's to do with two videos, two channels that I've been watching. And the first one is Read, Write, Reece. And she did an excellent talk on Penguin books and the iconic look of them, that even now, years later, you can find them very easily in the shelves. It's just a wonderful look to their books. So something like this. They're very similar. Orange. They just stand out. There's no intention to do anything but state it's Penguin, the title, and the author. Some can be blue, but generally they're orange. And occasionally, you get one with an image on it. Some, the classics, they'll give you a piece of artwork. One thing you'll note is that they're generally the same size, but not always. And they just work. It's an iconic, wonderful design. It's the idea of less is more. Pay note of that. And of course, there was a period in time when that's all you got. So that's Kidnapped, and it's the 5 heroic plays and Oliver Twist. So if you go into old houses, especially in Britain, where I'm used to, it's probably the same in France and any other country, if they were produced in the 17th, 18th, early 19th century, that's what there's on the shelf, that's all they are. But they worked. What's also interesting, and I'm just going to go back to what I've just showed you, before I show you some more books. I'm just going to focus on the titles. So, Madame Claire. The Communist Manifesto. Book of Longing. William. 25. The Day of the Triffids. And The Consolation of Philosophy. I'm going to just highlight the word the. You get that in history, but it would be infrequent. I went out today. This was a series of books that I found in my local bookstore in the town that I live. And there's a few things to say about this. But I'm going to focus on first the titles. Having just said that you get the quite often. At the top left, Silver Elite. Then it's The Summer Guests by Tess Gerritsen. Ritual. Going across to the right, The Crash by Frida McFadden. Then it's The Pretender by Joe Harkin. Go down to the second shelf to the left, The Residence. Next one, okay, Inner Critic 2 Inner Coach. Then you've got James Patterson, Private Dublin. Then it's The Remarkable Truths of Alfie Baines. Frog, The Secret Diary of a Paramedic by Sally Gould. The Vipers by Katie Hayes. Then I think it's The Slaying of the Vampire Conqueror. I'm not too sure. I can't remember the title now. At the bottom, The Pregnancy Encyclopedia. In other words, the overuse of the. And I've noticed it's becoming more and more common in books today. But let's have a look back at the pictures. Ask yourself, what stands out? I have a couple of things to say. They're normally all the same size. For myself, the one that sticks out the most, there's actually two, are the extreme bottom left. The Pregnancy Encyclopedia, and then that Icebergs to Iguanas. The rest are overly busy. They just don't stand out unless you are attracted to certain colours, like the orange, the Summer Guests by Tess Gerritsen. Do they stand out more than them? Possibly. But I'm going to show you some more imagery, because I think what we have lost is not just the size of books. Very rarely now do you come across anything that size. That's the whole Bible in there. There's no excuse to say you can't get text in a book that size. Yes, you can. And it's just wonderful in the hand. We've lost that. But we've also lost the original artwork. This is Casino Royale. And you have to say that that would have been done by an artist. Jean-Paul Sartre, Nausea. Again, it's very much Dali, but it's still an original piece of artwork. The Dharma Bombs by Jack Kerouac. That's an original piece of artwork. It's actually, you can get this now, and I often come across, because I render stuff like this on AI, but that was not AI in its era. Swiss Family Robinson. It's part artwork and then part cut out from a film. James A. Michener, Sayonara. Again, original artwork. Star Trek Log 4, original artwork. The Weapon Shops of Isha, original artwork. Look at this size. Strangers in Space. Not The Strangers in Space. Wonderful original artwork. And then Kidnapped. Now, a couple of things to say about Kidnapped. I've already shown it you. That's the original, literally unabridged. This one is a retelling. Different size. In that, you've got everything. In that, it's almost the same thickness. It's abridged because it's a retelling. So increasing size doesn't give you the actual full text. And this was done with a much larger font. That's the original. So that font opposed to that. It's amazing. Modern books have just come out, and I've noticed, and they seem to be slowly going back to an old aesthetic. So The Princess of Mars, original artwork. The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett, again, original artwork. Now, let's go back to that picture. What do you think? Now, it's down to personal preference, of course. We go in trends, so we're no longer the less is more, the pure aesthetic. We are now into overly flowery. In fact, some of the pictures or some of the artwork on these, you could say are minimalist. It's nearly all text. Notice how much they elevate the text over the image. Especially Silver Elite, The Pretender, Frog, Quidditch through the ages. They've elevated the text over any image. I'm trying to see if I think there's any there that's original artwork. Vipers could be, I'm not too sure. Difficult to say. I'm amazed why it's happened. I think we've lost a lot with artwork especially. They don't zing so much. I'm predisposed to go into a bookshop and buy stuff. But too often now I go in and I look at what's on offer and I don't buy. But I'll buy from secondhand bookstores. And of course, that's another thought I may do. The ethics of buying secondhand books when the original, if they're still alive, writers or artists, whatever, don't get any royalties from that. So it's becoming a thing here in New Zealand, talked about at the moment. Should we be buying secondhand books? Well, yeah, because if we didn't, we wouldn't get this wonderful stuff. It would be lost. But we go in cycles, and the artwork probably of stuff that I don't care for now, the book styles, 30, 50, 60 years from now, people may be looking back fondly and thinking, oh, we've lost all that. I think I'm very happy. I feel very blessed to have grown up in an era where we had books like this. But I think that era's well and truly gone. Predominantly a lot of white space. Yes, you could say, well, the text is predominant here to the image. Yeah, but at least it's a original image. Yeah, you're saying we're using too much of the. There's a the there. Well, yeah, fair enough. It's a weak argument. But I just don't know. I just sense that we've lost a lot, and it would be a shame if we never consider what we have lost. And unfortunately, it's not just in books, is it? It's also in the artwork from old albums. What got me interested in art and design, I think, was the cover to Duran Duran, Rio. That fantastic aesthetic of the early 80s. I don't think that would be produced now. If it had come out now for the first time, I don't think we'd have a cover like that from that album. It's just brilliant. But it's the same with books. What are we losing? And I noticed that, and it's probably because of the nature of BookTube, the channels I tend to follow are similar to my own in that they like the old aesthetic. So Grammaticus books, he's always showing old books, old artwork. It's just wonderful. Definitely, forgive the pun, a lost art. I don't have many books that are modern style. It's possibly why I naturally revert to older books, because they just appeal to me. That aesthetic of artwork, that draws my eye far more than anything, that picture I took. Because I think it's a combination of the artwork, the size, and so on. How many books, in terms of numbers, do you think are pulped annually in, say, France? Well, in France, 140 million new books are pulped annually because they've not sold. In the United States, it's roughly 77 million. 77 million books in the UK are pulped every year. And the UK publishes a large number of new titles, estimated to be over 184,000 each year. Trees are being knocked down to produce paper, which are then made into books. And then eventually, a lot of it is just pulped, wasted. And I wonder why then? Because they're not selling. Why are they not selling? A publisher, an agent, will choose something they think is going to sell. Well, plainly, they're not all the time. Or very limited number of books are being sold. Why are they not selling? Because potentially, although there's a lot of bookstores, what are people buying? They're going in and they're looking at this selection, but are they buying them? How effective is the marketing here? If every publisher is doing something similar and then ending up having to pulp so much, are they producing stuff that people aren't interested in? Or is it that, because they say in marketing, you've got about 30 seconds to get someone's attention and make them buy. So it's all down to how you present yourself. Are we presenting books? Are we doing authors a service by wrapping up their work in books that people then aren't buying? Why are these getting purchased? But there's copies of these books now that are being published every year. So I don't know the answer to that. I think that I personally would argue a lot of it is to do with the lack of original artwork on the front cover, because cost. If you can put a book out there that you don't have to pay an artist to do the artwork for, if you're going to put a book out there, and it's like bandwagonism, it's similar to YouTube. Let's be honest. 5 years ago, if you wanted to get somebody to look at your video, especially if you happen to be a reactor to music, you're going to do certain things. And then you'll put Gen Z or Oldster reacts to music, hip-hop. So everybody did it. It became a thing that if you happen to be black, American, and you said you was a hip-hop listener, but now you're reacting to the Beatles or you're reacting to Tears for Fears, and you put that out, and you put something like Shocked, and titles like This Really Broke Me, you're going to get a shed load of views. So everyone repeats. Everyone does very similar things now. Same style thumbnails. You get it in BookTube. And you're definitely, therefore, going to get it in this. Like, that's become the norm. That's what publishers must do. They must be happy, otherwise they wouldn't do it. So it's very interesting. I'd be interested to see what you think. Whether we have lost something, we do a disservice to ourselves, because that obviously is boring for people now. I'm not buying many modern books, and there has to be a reason for it. And I don't think it's just because of my own preference. Ta-ta for now.